Hi everybody, my name is Theresa and I'm at Oceanside Yoga Center in Qualicum Beach. And today we are going to do I would say, a hatha style gentle-ish class. We will most likely just stay seated on the mat or lying down. And if you have a blanket handy, it's always nice to have a blanket for different reasons. So if you want to grab a blanket, and we might even use the wall today. So let's begin simply by finding a comfortable position to sit. And it doesn't have to be the way I'm sitting, it could be any position. And you could also sit on your blanket anyway as well. So feel free to sit, or if you have a pillow nearby, go ahead and grab your pillow. And maybe you'd like to close your eyes or lower your gaze. Turn your attention to your breath for a few moments. Feeling your body moving with each inhale and with each exhale. Feel where your body is connected to the floor, prop you're sitting on. You can even add a little pressure down. Maybe you'll feel a sense of lengthening up when you pressure down through the sitting bones and the legs. Watch the breath. And noticing everything that's happening in this moment. Noticing the sounds that you're hearing. The sensations that you're feeling. And you could also be aware that your thoughts will come and go. Let's make our main focus the breath and keep coming back to that throughout your practice. Blink your eyes open, and we'll simply just turn the head side to side, looking over your shoulders, keeping your chin level with the ground, noticing your range of motion here. And then looking forward, and we'll nod our head up and down like we're saying a big yes. And then next time your chin is down, you could take your chin towards your right shoulder, then bring it back down, and then bring your chin towards your left shoulder and bring it back down. So it's like you're drawing a smile with your chin. Maybe that smile gets a little bigger. And you could start to feel your head moving back. And if it feels okay, maybe you can start drawing a big circle with your chin or an oval shape with your chin. If that feels okay with your neck. And then we'll go the opposite direction. And then next time your chin is down, then we'll come back to level with the chin, and we'll make our, what I call my Jar Jar Binks circles, where I'm poking my head out, making a circle that's parallel to the floor with my chin. And you can go the opposite direction. Great. And then let's take the hands behind the head for a moment, interlace your fingers, turn your palms up towards the ceiling, and you can lift your waist out of your hips. And then release your arms down. Now let's inhale to lift the arms up, and exhale to float the arms down. Inhale, and exhale. Great, inhale, this time we'll do a little twist. You can exhale, twist to one side, and then inhale back. And exhale, twist the other side, and inhale back. Same thing, exhale, twisting, inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, and then exhale and release. Let's stretch the legs out now in front of us. And if you're still sitting on something, maybe you'll take that out to the side. You can take your hands behind you here and lean back. And then we'll pedal out the feet. And here I'm plantar flexing and dorsiflexing the ankle joints to get technical. Pedal, pedal, pedal. And then scrunch your toes and spread your toes. Scrunch your toes, spread your toes. Wake up your feet. And we'll shake it out. You can do some windshield wiper type movement with your legs. So you're internally and externally rotating at the hips. The legs at the hips. And then again, you can shake it out. Shake, shake, shake. We'll go ahead and come onto our hands and knees. And here is a good place to put the blanket under your knees for some extra padding. I recommend that. Well, this is tabletop position, and we'll start by warming up the wrists a little bit, and you could simply walk your hands around and go the opposite direction. You could also do this on your knuckles and go the opposite direction. And you could also do it on the outer hand, so that the karate chops out of your hands. And I'm bending my elbows now, and I'm not having as much weight on my hands here, just exploring. And then maybe even being on the inner hands, so that's maybe it feels a bit awkward. So again, not as much weight here. And then coming onto the back of your hands, you can bend your elbows out to the sides. And we can do our orangutan push-ups here. I make fisticuffs as I lower my chest, and then I open my palms as I lift my chest away. Notice your shoulder blades move towards each other as you lower your chest, and they move away from each other as you come up. And then you can release, and we'll plant the hands back under the shoulders now, and you can find the feeling that you're pushing the floor away from you. Keep your arm bones straight, so your arms are straight, and even turn the elbow creases so the inner elbows look at the space between the thumbs and first fingers. And then we can here do some rhomboid push-ups. So you're keeping your arms straight, and then squeeze your shoulder blades together, and then your shoulder blades come apart. Squeeze them together and take them apart. And one more time, squeeze them together, then take them apart. And we'll keep the arms straight, keep pushing the floor away. And let's start to tilt the pelvis back and forth. So only the pelvis at this time. Moving your pelvis back and forth, that feeling of tucking and then lifting the tailbone. Then you can go all the way through into your cow pose, but let's let the pelvis start the movement to go into cat. And in cat, we're working to flex the spine, so go ahead and look in towards your navel. And then start with your pelvis to go back to cow. Let your breath be steady as you do this movement. It doesn't have to match the movement. It needs to be steady. We're going slow here. Pelvis, low back, mid back, upper back, neck and head last. Couple more times. Tabletop, and we'll simply come into high kneeling from here. So we're in high kneeling, and I like to shake my hands or flick my hands a little bit after I've loaded the wrists. Give the wrists a bit of a break here, and I'm pointing my toes behind me and in my high kneeling position. I'm going to move towards sitting on my heels, but then I'm going to change my mind and come back up. And then I lift my arms as I do this movement. So I'm going as far as it's comfortable, go as far as it's comfortable for your knees, and then come back up. You might not go as deeply as I do. Great, and then one more time. And then we'll keep the hip flexors open now, and we'll start to lean back and come back up. So feel that you're pushing into the tops of your feet here. You could do this with your toes curled under as well. If that feels better to you. Let's do one more time. Great, and then we'll release. Then we'll come into forearm plank pose, and that means you can take your elbows to the ground, interlace your fingers, or if you're feeling like you're having a strong day, you can keep your forearms parallel. So we'll start by finding the feeling that we're pressuring down with the arm bones, keeping the shoulder blades wide, and maybe you're just walking your knees back and holding the pose here. Or some of you could do the full-on pose, lifting your knees right up and working to be in a strong plank position. Keep your breath steady. And at any time you could lower your knees here if you needed to. Keep the back of your head in line with your upper back. And keep breathing. Then go ahead and come all the way down onto your bellies, and let's take a little rest. So feel free to stack your hands and rest your forehead down. Come back to noticing the breath here and the movement the body is making with each inhale and each exhale. And then we'll come into a low cobra by lifting the head, activating the legs, pressing your pelvis into the ground. Slide your hands under your shoulders here. You're in a low cobra, lifting the collarbones, activating the back chain. You want to feel your buttock muscles are working, and we'll see if we can hover the hands up for a moment or two. Maybe gently move the head. Then once again, relax down, soften, taking a break, and maybe you can shake your booty a little bit. And I'll get you to roll onto your side, it doesn't matter which side, and bend your knees. You can rest your head on your arm, or if you feel like you need something else under your head, you could grab a pillow or a blanket here. We're moving into clamshells. So clamshells are one of my favorite nutritious movements for my body. And I want you to start by lifting your waist away from the ground, and then let your waist drop down. Lift your waist away from the ground. Might feel not normal thing to do, and it feels like it's work. And then go ahead and relax down. Then lift your waist away from the ground and hold it there. Now we'll lift our feet away from the ground, and we'll go up and down with our feet. Up and down. We're just preparing to do some clamshells. We're not there yet. Then you can go ahead and release your waist. Take a moment. Now lift your waist, lift your feet, and here we move into the clamshell. So I'm keeping the inner edges of my feet together and lifting my top knee up and down. The bottom leg is static. I'm keeping my waist lifted the whole time. It's a really interesting sensations going on in my hips. And my bottom hip is working too. It's really interesting. Great, and then let's go ahead and release. I like to do this round and round movement with my top hip. And the spine, of course, undulates when I do that. You can go the opposite direction as well. And then let's simply do the other side. So I'm going to turn around, and because I like the padding under my hips, I'm going to keep that blanket under my hips. And then sliding my arm up to rest my head. So again, if you feel like you need something under your head here, grab a pillow instead. If that bothers your shoulders at all. So here again, we'll lift the waist away from the floor and then release. And lift your waist away from the floor and release. And then lifting your waist, let's hold that. Then we'll go up and down with the feet. The feet stay together. And we go up and down, keeping the waist lifted. And then let's hang up for a minute and rest with your waist relaxed. Then we'll lift the waist, lift the feet, and move into our clamshells. And again, this, for my body, feels like very nutritious movement. So I do this movement in most of my classes, or a lot of my classes, in the last couple of years. You can add load by putting a TheraBand around your knees here as well, if you wanted to make it a little bit harder. Let's go ahead and release and relax. Relax your waist, and then go round and round with that top hip. Round and round. And then opposite direction. There's no right or wrong, so don't worry about it, whether you're doing this right or not. Go ahead and release. How about we just lie on our backs now, and you can bend your knees and plant your feet flat down. And here we'll tilt our pelvis back and forth again, just like when we were doing cat and cow, and notice how your lumbar curve lifts away from the floor when you tilt your pelvis forward, or an anterior tilt to get technical, and then your low back presses into the floor when you do a posterior tilt. And then when you're just relaxed, that would be a neutral position for you, probably. So notice that, how that feels, the amount of space you have behind your low back. And then we'll maintain that position. And you can use your hands here as much as you need to. You can push your hands into the ground. And we're maintaining our neutral spine here. And we're simply lifting the right foot and pulling the toes back towards the face, and then we'll switch. We'll lift the left leg and pull the toes back towards the face. And just continue here to do what I call the strange variation of the can-can. And then next time your right leg is up, let's keep that right leg up. And press your left foot firmly, and you're going to move your right heel up and down, keeping your lumbar curve in its neutral position. So you might start to feel like your core is doing a bit of work to maintain a steady spine. And then let's release that side and we'll switch. Left leg, push your right foot down, and then up and down with that left leg, keeping your spine steady. Your breath is steady too. Great. And then release. Now we'll again keep the spine in its neutral position. Then take your shins parallel to the floor. And here is already probably a bit of a challenge, just keeping those knees over your hips. And I like to, my spine wants to just go into a really intense anterior tilt. It wants to lift away from the floor, so I have to actually work hard to keep my spine in neutral at this position. And again, feel free to use your hands. Then keeping the spine steady, you tap your right heel into the ground, and then bring it back up, and then we switch. Tap your left heel into the ground, and bring it back up. And again, keep your breath steady here. And then next time your knee comes back up, let's pull the knees into the chest and feel your low back rounding now. Take a few breaths here. Great, let's place the feet back down. And then walk your feet wider than your hips, and we'll let the knees move side to side, doing some windshield wiper style legs. And I turn my face the opposite way that my knees go. Great, and then come back to that feeling of your neutral spine. And we'll move into bridge pose. So I'm going to actually slide the blanket off to the side here and feel my feet pressuring down into the floor. You can use your arms. I call this robot arms, with the palms facing in towards each other and pressing down with my upper arms, and then I bridge up and keep my robot arms here. I can roll my shoulders under to try and get the shoulder blades to retract towards each other. And you can hold the pose here, or the option is to interlace your fingers behind your back. Maybe you can get your arm bones in a little tighter. Keep pushing into your feet here. I feel, I'm hearing my stomach is growling a little bit. And I'm feeling my back chain, my glutes and my hamstrings are working well as a team. Keep hips lifting. And then you can release your hands and release your pelvis to the ground, and let your shoulder blades move away from each other once again. Then let's pull the knees into the chest, and here you could, if you have a wall handy, and if you don't have a wall, your option is to use a door, but make sure maybe you could lock the door so that nobody walks through when you're using it. So what I want to do is a simple variation of legs up the wall, and I could use my blanket here to put under my pelvis. That's optional, and you could have it at a higher height, or maybe you can have a few blankets under your pelvis, or if you have a bolster or a pillow around, that could be under your pelvis too. So what I'm going to do is come right up against the wall with the side of my hips against the wall. Then I'll take my elbow down and scooch my seat closer to the wall. And then I'm going to swing my legs around to come into legs up the wall. You don't have to have your hips right against the wall here. That's fine if the hips are a little bit away from the wall. And you could also have your knees bent. That's fine too. And here I'm enjoying this nice feeling of being in what I would say is a very gentle inversion. Some might not consider it an inversion, because technically my hips aren't very high. You could use this as your Savasana here. You could stay in this position, for as long as you feel comfortable. Or you could come into your regular Savasana whenever you're ready to do that. So I will leave you here with that. Hopefully you can stay and relax for 5 or 10 minutes, either in legs up the wall or coming into your regular Savasana, lying on your back and using whatever props that you would like. And maybe you're using the blanket to put on top of yourself just to stay warm. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.